Hello, this is Nate from zootgamer.com, the place for getting your gaming guides, journalism, and sharing your love of gaming with others, bringing you all the information you need to know about Total War Attila. Total War Attila is the latest installment in the Total War series, being released in February 2015. The Total War series has been around for over a decade and has cemented itself quite a strong fan base. The series is known for large-scale military combat. You're the leader of an army and it's up to you to command the tide of the battle. Troops are separated into groups of matching soldiers, and there's a wide variety of troops in various classes, from foot soldiers to horse riders and a lot of other things. Along with different ways of moving, we also have different ways of attacking. You have your melee fighters, which vary from both lances and swords to also ranged attackers, along with war machines. This is really where the series starts to get its complexity and strategy from. The troops all behave, move, and attack differently. Some troops are stronger against others in a sort of rock, paper, scissors way. Once you start to play the game, you'll really get a feel for who's strong against one another. You'll start to learn strategies, and you'll see that you can send out different troops to aid other troops, and you can create your own strategies so that you can take out the enemy army. This truly is the focus of the series: the armies, the tactics, and the planning. If you've ever wanted to see what it would be like to have a whole army and a whole infantry at your disposal, this is the series to turn to. But is Total War Attila the game to get? Being as the series is so grounded, there are bound to be some major differences and changes in the game, as well as the main ideas and mechanics that generally stay the same. Starting out, the game has many different modes that you can play. You can follow the game's story of the Hun invasion and the coming winter on Rome, or act out historical battles fought in Europe around this era. The game has many different options of play, but if you don't have a large amount of experience with this series, the different modes won't mean much to you. The reason I say this is because the game has a very steep learning curve. To get accustomed to how the game works and what tactics work best, it's going to take some time. The prologue introduces you to the basic concepts of moving troops and fighting, but after that, most of your knowledge will have to come from intuition, lots of practice, and just playing the game. The difference between those who have played hours upon hours of this game and those who just started is a large one. And without a good amount of experience, you'll find you're going to be needing to play on lower difficulties as well as having troubles against those who have more experience with the game. Being released in 2015, you would expect this game to look great, as it should. Unfortunately, this is not quite the case. While it is incredible to see hundreds of little soldiers actively moving and engaging on the battlefield, there are flaws. Unfortunately, the game's flaw is that everything is very poorly optimized. The game has a hard time running on most computers, even very powerful computers. The developers claim that this is due to the game being optimized for newer hardware, but it still causes the game to run at about half of what it could. And while the game does look good on newer computers that have all of the right parts that are compatible with this game, that's no excuse to not make it so that it looks good on all computers. It also would appear as if the developers had plenty of time to fix this if they just stopped trying to push out so much day one DLC. It's not terrible and it still looks alright, but it can really take out of the experience when your game is just not running well. While this isn't game-breaking, it definitely took it down, and I realized I had to talk about it when cutscenes just slowed to an almost dead stop. It's not so bad in-game, but when your game does something like that, you really need to patch it. If you'd like to get more into the heart of the game, campaigns feature even more detail, with politics getting involved and leaving you to be the one to organize trades and negotiations with other factions in order to prevent conflict and have benefits. Morale is also incredibly important, both in and out of battle. Keeping your citizens happy outside of battle will help you and offer great benefits, but with less of an immediate impact. The effect of morale in real time can cause your troops to disobey and flee from battle. You, however, can also add to this by flanking and intimidating your opposition and causing your troops to feel like they're doing good. The opposing troops can also flee as well. It's kind of hard to see exactly what happens with morale, and it feels a bit like chance. But when you keep going, you can often find what sort of makes it tick. Now, there is even more to battles, as it's probably the most complex part of the game. Once again, there are many different types of classes within the game, horsemen, spearmen, foot soldiers, archers, and even boat battles. My personal favorite type of battle was the boat battle, using various water boats from both boats that have to engage with other ones directly and then ranged boats. This probably, however, is one of the least involved forms of battle, but it's much quicker paced and much faster ending than most battles. Some of these battles can go on nearing an hour, with all the stages and planning and engaging that you're involved in. If you were fighting a battle entirely with foot soldiers, the amount of time that it will take for your armies to clash alone is going to be a bit. Then the soldiers will fight it out as you construct them and move around as assigned. Armies on horseback or boat, however, move much faster, which is what tended to draw me more to boat battles. But getting back on track, these different troops then have other things impacting how well they can kill and how well they can survive. Things such as natural hazards, hills, and ramparts all change how the battle will go. The main point to note is that having a strong defense, being uphill, and flanking the opposition will give you the upper hand. The game is excellent for playing with your friends and by yourself. Either way though, you may have a struggle with graphics, depending on what your system is like. Some have had very negative multiplayer experiences, saying that the low frame rates made online play impossible, while others have had zero problems with it. It really depends on what sort of hardware you have and how it runs on it. The game's combat and complexity in combat are its strongest suits. Even forgetting about the DLC, the game itself comes with a large amount of content and can keep someone entertained for a long time. Growing and learning strategies in a living, working environment is fun, and the AI are interesting while not the best. The game does suffer from some very poor optimization, and the biggest sin is that this game is not a standalone game. Total War Attila is not the first of its kind, and the job of a sequel, or a new item in a series, should always be to improve. With the optimization and overall lack of impact from the political side of things, the game does feel like it still needs to work things out. There are pros and unfortunately a lot of cons too. The game is, however, fun. It reminds me a large amount of Civilization if the game were more combat oriented and focused more on the development of your army versus the development of your civilization. People who enjoy live combat strategy, like what is popular in many massively multiplayer arena games, will most likely like this game. The game is not for everyone, but there is a lot of fun to have from the game. While I can't say that this game is worth the full price, I can say that if you're at all interested in this game, or in the Total War series, it's worth trying or learning more about. Anyways guys, that has been my thoughts on the Total War series, and if you want to hear more awesome gaming opinions, journalism, and just connect with more gamers, check out zootgamer.com.